Welcome to Crypto Kid Podcast. So today I have a guest, Mr. Jeff. And why don't you give us a little bit of information on you and a little bit of background on how you got into blockchain technologies and NFTs?
Absolutely. So I've been working in crypto actually full time since around 2017. Right before working at Conflux, which is where I work now. I can chat more about that in a bit. I worked at a leading crypto VC out of Europe. Worked there for a few years, helping to build, invest, and advise and launch projects that are launching in Web3. This included projects working in the DeFi space, and more increasingly in like the metaverse and NFTs, AI, open data. Um, right now, I'm working at Conflux. Conflux, if maybe just a quick intro is also helpful of your listeners here. Conflux is actually like a layer. Conflux is a layer one blockchain.
Mhm.
We are hybrid proof of work and proof of stake. It's really an amazing piece of technology, really fast, really secure, really low fees, awesome security. Haven't had any downtime. We launched mainnet a few years ago. But I think with Conflux, what's makes us unique, has a unique market position, is we're the only regulatory compliant chain in China. So really offer a unique advantage for actually projects that are in China who are really looking into NFTs, and also for projects out of China. We've worked with a lot of brands in China. All the NFTs that are minted in China are minted on Conflux. We've worked with like McDonald's and Oreos and Chanel. Um, and I guess right now at Conflux, I lead like the global grants program, and also global ecosystems. So really focused on helping to build out, the Conflux tech stack, but then also working directly with projects, helping them actually launch on Conflux. And right now, NFTs are a major emerging market on actually on Conflux.
Mhm.
And we actually have some huge news that is coming out soon, and I think I'll be the first to break it. But we have some really huge news out of China with a massive use case of NFTs. Um, and I can chat more about that later. Maybe just a little teaser for now. But yeah, so I've been working in the space a long time, been looking at it from all angles, and I think that NFTs are a really exciting use case actually, which has emerged, and really pumped to talk more about them.
Awesome. Awesome. So it sounds like you're doing exciting stuff, man. And definitely appreciate you leading the way with the NFTs and Conflicts. Sounds like they're a pretty dope company in a way. And
Awesome,
dope
thank you.
I mean is like awesome, exactly. So what exactly is NFTs? Explain it in a very simple language.
Absolutely. Love this question. I think it's so important to be able like to talk about these things really simply.
Mhm.
For me, an NFT just refers to a creative product that is that's in the liquid market. Maybe just to talk about like a liquid market, just to maybe I can unpack that a bit. For me, a liquid market makes all types of artistic creations real like easily real easily like uh easily available, like to buy,
Mhm.
really like without the need of a middleman. So it makes it easy for artists to have a direct have a direct transaction with actually the ones who want to appreciate their art.
Okay. Okay. Now, what do you think the future is for NFTs look like?
That's a good question. I think there's a lot of possibilities here, but I think NFTs in the future allow for lots of innovation, but I also think we'll see lots of adoption. So really with innovation, I think first you'll see a lot more tools emerge which empower artists. via, what they're calling these smart NFTs, which are, these interesting royalty schemes, or, other tools that help empower artists. I think one other thing we'll see more of is lots of adoption, whether that's with a brand or existing platforms, for lots of deeper user engagement. I think we'll see some enterprise uses emerge as well. But these will emerge on the product features, which are, which are actually battle tested, right? I think
Mhm.
you'll see it emerge later. But yeah, there's been a lot of innovation in, the space over the last few years. And I think now in the future, what you'll see immediately in the future is lots of adoption. So I really think we'll see lots of interesting uses of NFTs actually emerge.
For sure, for sure, you're right. And I don't know for sure if the NFL is in the NFTs, because I was
Hmm.
watching. The reason why I said that, I was watching the game the other day. I think it was it the Bengals and Bills? Anyways, and I was looking at the what the players look like on the screen, like they have their stats and everything, and they look like NFTs. I was like, I wonder if they're involved. Do you
Hmm.
know that for sure? Or
I haven't heard anything with the NFL, but I know the NBA issued a bunch of NFTs with, like with Top Shot.
Mhm.
And I think the whole notion of, like the same way kids used to collect cards of athletes back in the day, I think looking at cards as this creative product, right? I think it only makes a lot of sense for athletes to have that direct, that really direct relationship with their fans. And it
dude, I,
is an awesome, it's a really an awesome use case, I think.
Dude, I'm glad you brought up that up with card collections. That brings me up to my next questions. Are
Hmm.
NFTs the future for collectors? Which sectors do you think will grow faster and why?
Excellent question. I mean, I think NFTs still have a long way to really help like the collectors kind of beyond, like the potential financial returns. I really hope that NFTs move actually beyond that. Um, but I think um I think there's major UX issues. There's lots of security issues. You've probably heard of a lot of hacks. But with me, I think right now what's super interesting is I think NFTs are more interesting as a business model tool for artists. That I think is really, what the focus needs, like to be on right now.
Like by artists, you mean just like digital content creators, but like painters or music artists or a variety of different things?
Yeah, this is an excellent question. I mean, would you look at engineers or also coders as like artists?
I believe
Um,
so. Yeah.
yeah, right. Like I also think they're the most innovative and creative minds out there. So maybe the right terms really creatives, right? I think that, it's a very, broad term, but I think artists can be in really in any medium,
That's creating, that's doing creation and inventing things of their own. Exactly
Hmm.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So who is driving innovation here? Is it if the technology provider, artists, social media platforms? What is it?
Hmm. I would say it's really, really these creators, right? It's
Mhm.
really, really these creative minds, and these can be engineers, coders, or also visual artists. But I think the most powerful innovations are really coming from when you have these creative minds in a room, where you have coders meet a visual artist and they work together on a project. And that's where I think you see the most impactful innovation. Like artists in this generation already equipped, like to build and create all types of all, I guess kind of types of digital media on lots of platforms and lots of formats. So it's almost the perfect storm, right? Like there's a huge need
Mm-hmm.
for it, I think, right now. So it's a little bit of it's a little bit of product market fit as well, I feel, like also what you're seeing. So I mean, it's, I guess, to answer your question, hopefully I'm answering it well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
It's a hard one to answer, but I'd say artists are innovating the most.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Now, right now, NFT space, blockchain technology is kind of a small knit group, and it's
Hmm.
not like very popular, especially with what happened with FTX and the crypto winter. So, how do we get mass adoption? And like it being organic, not when the hype's up, when Bitcoin goes back or when Bitcoin goes 100,000 and things
Hmm.
like that.
Whoops, I missed that last, sorry, I missed that last part of the question, man.
Oh, you're
I
good.
think
You're
it
good,
froze.
dude. So like with how do we get mass adoption with it being organic?
Hmm. It's a good question. I think that, how do you get mass adoption really being organic? I think right now in the space, a huge issue is really education.
Mm-hmm.
As you mentioned before, like people working in the space, there's not that many of us, and I think a lot of the challenges come around how we actually talk about things. The term NFT is an awful term, actually. It's very complicated. It's an acronym that stands for something even more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think that education is really important. But it's not just about educating. Like we really need to think about who we are educating, and even who is writing this content, who is writing this information. I think how, I guess what will help is if, we need to pull in people from lots of backgrounds to have really the input in how it is talked about. um you need people who have, who have experience already working in existing markets that have achieved mass adoption. Like you need to work with people who already reached like that level and know how to talk to the masses and pull them in. So I think that at a high level, we can maybe talk about this forever, but
Mm-hmm.
at like a high level, I think it's education and bringing in the right people.
Exactly. And for those who are curious about wanting to get more education, is conferences, events, and meetup. Create a group to meet with like-minded people. Now, with education being said, how do we think it is best to revolve? Should this be in school curriculums?
Hmm. I mean, I I mean it. I mean, one, it would be awesome. I know there are some universities that are teaching courses on blockchain and they have classes on NFTs. But I think really like the best way is working directly. I mean, this just in the example of NFTs, right? I think there's lots of verticals in blockchain, but just looking at NFTs, I think it is actually resolved like by working directly with actual artists and making sure that they understand how to actually use NFTs, and that they kind of actually realize that NFTs are a tool that can actually help them make a profit, and also like a passive way, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a really powerful tool, but you need to work with people. You need to work with people directly and kind of help like to bridge the, to actually help to bridge the gap a bit. Um, Hopefully that answered your
Mm.
question.
Dude, you're doing great. You're doing
Yeah, no.
great. Now, what you brought up universities teaching blockchain.
Hmm.
Now, are there grant programs to support this that you
Yeah,
know of?
so I mean, lots of projects have a grants program. Also at Conflux, we also have a grants program. So right now that's the part of my role at Conflux. I am leading like the global grants. And we work directly with projects that are launching on Conflux, working with developers and artists as well. Last year we had an emerging artist grants program. So yeah, like anyone who is listening, reach out. Hopefully you'll have my contact information
Hmm.
in the links. Yeah, reach out, ask any questions about grants. It'll be
Down
right
below.
here,
Yeah, down
right,
below in the
right,
description.
right here down below.
Okay.
I'll have a link, and if you have any questions about the grants program, happy to have a chat. Right now, we're helping to build out like the Conflux tech stack. As I mentioned, we're working with projects directly who want to launch on Conflux. And emerging artist actual program last year where we worked with artists in emerging markets, helped them explore NFTs. So the grants range from anywhere between 1K and 100K. So it really depends, obviously, but yeah, we'll have links to all those resources.
Dude, that is so kick ass. That is great to hear because I was getting a little bit concerned about cryptocurrency and it not being people not supporting it enough. And here's Conflicts willing to take it on and just like, hey, we will help you to learn more about this. So that's amazing stuff, man.
Awesome.
Do you think NFTs got a boost over the last few years because they are not subject to supply chain and
Hmm.
implements?
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting question, right? I think, yeah, I mean, like, yes, of course, I think that's a part of it. I'm sure all your listeners were here the last couple of years too. We had, like all these lockdowns around the world, and a lot of the people moved online, and a lot of people's lives moved online, or at least, like at least more and more of it, hopefully not all of it.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think like that has obviously led to a larger uptick with NFTs for sure.
Facts, facts.
Facts.
NFTs have been attributed as helping grow the user base of blockchain technology. Do you agree with this and why?
Um, Helping to grow the user base of blockchain technology. Yeah, I think
Mhm.
100%. I think really this year they were the first use case that actually got any real coverage in the actual mainstream. Like there's a lot happening in crypto. There's lots of projects, as I mentioned. There's lots of verticals, right? Like NFTs is just one. There's also DeFi, there's open data, there's IoT. But yeah, I think that NFTs are the ones that really hit the mainstream. And you have actual like huge, like really massive brands using them now. You have lots of like really famous musicians also looking at
Mhm.
NFTs, artists, lots of celebrities looking at NFTs. So yeah, it's really like I think out of all the verticals in crypto, it's for sure the one that I think has really caught everyone's attention right now.
Travis Scott, Jay-Z, Eminem.
Exactly.
I'm not sure if Snoop Dogg, maybe Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, 100% Snoop. He's on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for clarifying that for me. So, is social media integrating important for the growth of NFT market?
100%. I think looking at like these existing social media platforms, right? They're an amazing channel because they have a huge user base, right? So I think if you're able to get your technology involved in any of these platforms, it's huge. If you look at, like, I'm sure everyone, or not everyone, but maybe you have an account on Instagram, right?
Mhm.
I think their monthly active users is around a couple is around a like a couple is around a couple is around to like a couple. It is in like the billions. I'm not sure exact numbers, but I think roughly two. I think roughly two. I think roughly like a couple. roughly like a couple billion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think with them, the real kind of traction you've seen is just really only people using images with, it's not really an NFT, it's like an image of an NFT, right?
Mm-hmm.
You probably heard this example of like, you can like have a picture of a house, but it's way it's like not the same to own the house, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's kind of how NFTs are used in, and really like these platforms now. There's there's the version of the gram actually like in China, which is called like the little, it's called like the little, sorry, it's called like the little called
Mm-hmm.
like the little red book.
Mm-hmm.
um and so this project, this huge company like the Little Red Book in China, I think their active monthly users are around 200 million. And just recently they've announced they have actually chosen Conflux like to actually integrate with. Um, they launched what they're calling like the R space. And so this is a feature that they're rolling out to like their 200 million active users who are, and it is allowing them to kind of have their NFTs, which they minted on Conflux, actually right there on their feed. So this is a huge example of kind of mass adoption, right? And I think having these platforms use use the platform, or actually use the blockchain like Conflux, is I think a huge move in the right direction, and really points to mass adoption. Um, so yeah, I think like looking at these platforms just in terms of the social media, it's a huge pathway like to mass adoption, right? I think having all of a sudden, like these 200 million users have like the opportunity to interact with, like an NFT is huge actually. And I hope to see this type of adoption in the West as well soon.
Oh, it's gonna happen. It's
Hmm.
inevitable. It's like there's no stopping it. It's a force to be reckoned with,
Hmm.
without a doubt. Does social media adoption signals trust to users?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you look at these platforms, right? Like they need like to work 100% of the time, right? They need like the tech to work. They're really focused on UX, making sure it's all smooth and optimizing the user's attention, right? So all of the tech needs to work. So I think having like the nod that we have off of off of the little off of, I have a hard time saying it, off the Little Red Book.
Mm-hmm.
um it really points to, I think, just I think it just really points to that, like the technology now is really ready like for mass adoption. um and so yeah, I'm really pumped about the type of things we're working on at Conflux. And happy like to see it being used. Like I'm really pumped to be like a part of a project where now we have a massive use case I guess actually like potentially like uh actually potentially like like a couple hundred million people.
Dude, I am absolutely pumped too, because that will happen. We just got to be patient and
Hmm.
making those hurdles. No matter if we fail, at least we know we tried, and
Yeah,
it's gonna
absolutely.
be in might as well make a good effort, because there's that one crazy chance that it might work. And then look, the way we look at times now is like, all right, this is definitely gonna work for sure.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
can
I
you?
mean, it's
Mhm.
just it's just actually to that point. I think it's just about having like a piece of tech that's really reliable. And I think that's where you'll kind of, once you have that, it's very easy to have mass adoption.
And this is gonna make so many people's dreams come true. And it's just gonna be like, I told you, like all my friends and family, like I told you, like you thought this was gonna be nothing. Now look at this. I'm in like a $50 million mansion. I'm on a like $2 million yacht, traveling the world, private jets, and it's gonna be an amazing experience when that happens for a lot of people. So, can you provide some examples of where you think NFTs have been used well to advocate for a range of social environment or any other driving real world changes?
Hmm. I mean, uh, I nice. I actually really like this question.
Mhm,
And it's actually a hard one to answer, I think, because there's lots of tests happening now, right? So I think there is lots of change happening, but it's at a very small scale, right? I think a lot of awesome uses like which are emerging, a lot of awesome use cases also emerging, but like again, there's not a lot of mass adoption, right? Not moving like like the needle in a huge way.
mhm,
Um, so I mean I hate this answer, although I would have to say like we haven't really seen anything yet.
mhm,
Um, we're as I said, we're in the process of doing lots of tests. There's lots of tests happening still, but I think as we move to mass adoption, like like we see with like the little red book, and I'd like to see it happen more in the West with blockchain emerge and these huge platforms. You'll have you'll kind of be able to have these tools in the hands of a lot of people and a lot more people, and that is where like you'll actually see some change, I think.
All right, all right. Yeah, there's still a lot of things to be worked out there in that department, like testing out the kinks and
Hmm.
ironing out the wrinkles. So, what are the risk of NFTs, and how do you mitigate them?
Yeah, there's a lot of risk. Like I guess at the head of the podcast, you were, chatting about FTX, and so there's, just market risks, I think, like in crypto right now, just on its own. Um, but I think maybe I think the most important risk as a user to flag for artists and people who like NFTs and want to get involved is just wallet is just there's just lots of security risks, right? So I think
Mhm,
how you're able how you're able to mitigate that is just learning about wallet and key management, right? Making sure your wallet is like a cold wallet. I would recommend using a hard, like a hardware wallet to keep anything that is valuable. But I mean, I'm just kind of mentioning this just because it's there. Although it's like improving every day. There's lots of amazing teams working on wallets with awesome UX, awesome, awesome, I guess, awesome like security. So it is only improving. But I just like as a user, I think it is important like to be aware of for sure. Um, I think other risks with NFTs is I'm sure, as you know, with market ups and downs recently, I think just as an asset class, it's really volatile. It can be hard to choose the right artist to help support, right? It can be hard to choose the right piece you want. So I think how you can, how you can mitigate, how you can, work on that, how you can help to mitigate that risk is, just I think this isn't like investment advice at all, but just to say, I
mhm,
think like really just only purchase after research, right? I think you should only like get into what you know. And I wouldn't really, I wouldn't recommend just doing it just because you want to make money. Because I think like that's where that is where the risk is, right?
mhm,
Um, so I would say that kind of those are maybe the most high, the ones that are at least the most talked about now. But I mean, I think that I think really what we're seeing with more and more and more and more and more mass or more and more mass or more and more mass more and more mass adoption
Mhm.
is that a lot of these risks will, like eventually go away. I think that companies like the little red book wouldn't use NFTs if like it was risky. So they've worked out the UX challenges with wallets, right? Um, that's all handled. That's all handled, right? So I would I would say, like just do your research.
Mhm.
Probably just do your research and be careful, but also have fun. It isn't that bad.
Yeah, don't put in more than what you're willing to, what you can afford to lose.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
people can lose themselves and get away, get carried away. I mean, to
Hmm.
just because there's no telling what's going to happen. So, man, so what's next for Conflux? Is there any events that you guys are going to be at that people could come up to you and talk to you personally? Any news that's about to happen? Anything that's going to drop that you can make it? You heard it
Cool.
here first on Crypto Kid Podcast.
Cool. Well, I think for the news, just to get it out there, really pumped to announce. I believe you're the first hearing it because the news is heading out in the morning. Is that this project in China, which I've been talking about, like the little red book,
Mm-hmm.
which has a couple hundred million active users a month, has actually chosen Conflux to launch what they're calling like the R space, which is like a new product feature which allow users to have their NFTs which are actually minted on Conflux right on their feed. So we're really pumped about it. I've been, chatting about mass adoption, and it's a really, I think, one of the largest cases of mass adoption out there right now. Um, but yeah, I think for news, we're also in the process of actually incubating lots of projects
Mm-hmm.
right now, and we have quite a few who are launching really soon. So there was a protocol, which is a lending protocol, which is Galido, launched on eSpace, which is an EVM environment on Conflux, uh, right at the beginning of the month. There's a project called Nucleon, which is like kind of like Lido. Um, so that's for people to lock CFX and earn rewards. That's launching on eSpace really soon. I believe the team is also just about like to make a major announcement there. So really pumped the project. Really pumped to have that project launch in a less than a month now.
Nice.
Um, so that'll be really cool, and I'll have hopefully have links like to these, I guess, also down below, or links to an ecosystem page.
Okay.
um and what else? I think we'll have a couple members of the team, also me included. We'll be going to the ETH conference up in Colorado next month. So if you want to chat to me in person, like I'll be up there for a week, I believe, over the conference. So yeah, if like any of your listeners are there and would like to chat, I also have my
Okay.
contact deets right here. I think I'm not sure where it'll
Oh yeah, down below. If you're
pop up,
watching
but
on
yeah,
YouTube, the description will be down below.
cool.
All right. Very extraordinary stuff, dude. I'm excited for you guys. And
Nice, awesome chatting, man. Cheers.
yeah. Hey, one last thing. Is there
Yeah.
anything you felt like we didn't go over that you want to drop real quick? Or is that pretty much that's it?
Uh,
Think you covered it all?
Probably not. I think I missed a couple things, but
Drop
um,
them before we go, man. It's your
yeah,
opportunity right now.
cool. Well, yeah, like pumped to, I guess when I mentioned Nucleon, which is launching early next month.
Mhm.
We launched also Galito, a lending protocol. And I think one other thing I'd like to mention
Mhm.
is we recently literally announced an incubation program. So um, this is a pool of so we launched an incubation program, and this is to help projects that are launching on eSpace. Um, so if you are working on a project, whether that's in the NFT space, or in like the metaverse, working in DeFi, reach out. Would love to hear about your project. We announced this incubation program right before like the new year, so I'll have links to all these also below, hopefully. And yeah, I would love to hear about your project and see if there's a way that we could actually help support.
All right. All right. Well, I wish you the best with your endeavors, and I hope to chat with you again soon. All right, man. Take it
I'm ready,
easy.
man.